kehilangan 1/4 daripada biodiversity yang ada di Malaysia. Macam mana kita nak solve problem?
Can we get the other question? Dengan biodiversity.
Biodiversity loss is happening at about 1 to 1.5% per day, which means hundreds of species per day. Yang Tuan sebutkan tu memang very important, but you know what is the most worrying loss we are having is actually insects. We're losing a lot of insects per day, and insects are vital to pollination. So as a result, you may not get some of the plants growing. You will have loss of species because of that biodiversity loss. How do you stop it? Again, the COP, biodiversity COP is very important, and there's a strategy in the last biodiversity COP in Montreal, looking at can we reduce 30% loss by 2030. So I think a lot of the member states have signed up to that. In Malaysia, it's very complicated. It's about, you have state and then you have federal law. So, if we really want to address climate change and biodiversity law, we have no choice but to really sit down and look at how you synergize these things. Because there's no point having a federal law and at state level, they say, oh, it's up to me what I do with the forest and so forth. So this is the elephant in the room as well, which is very, very difficult. One thing that you can do is stop using pesticides. I keep telling KKM, stop doing fogging, because you not only kill dengue, you kill virus, mosquito, you kill every other insect that's there as well. So how do you build more community awareness on the risk of dengue, making sure people, takkanlah you tak boleh even examine your own compound to look whether there's water containers that are potential breeding grounds and so forth. So why are you waving? Okay, so that's one. Now on the question about one of the most important things, number one is fossil fuel industry. They're the main culprits in CO2 emissions, and their lifestyle, the life chain of fossil fuel is not just at petrol level of fossil fuels, but also right down to plastics, right? Because you must remember that plastics are also from fossil fuels. How do we really push for them to start looking at greener energy, making sure that we go to renewables? How do you stop proliferation? Whatever is now happening, we cannot say you're going to stop immediately. No, you can't, because you still need energy. There's some countries that don't even have energy. You have to address energy poverty. But what we can do is stop proliferating. Don't go and explore new areas. Use whatever you have while rapidly scaling up technology so that you can go into renewables very quickly. The second largest is actually agriculture. If you reduce your meat intake, there's less demand in meat, you actually restore forests, because that's the main culprit in agriculture. The other thing, of course, is really going from mass agriculture to much more smaller agriculture, community-based agriculture that is more sustainable. And then number four, I probably is aviation and travel and transportation as well. So rethinking our transportation. I'm guilty because I fly quite a bit because of my work. But what I do is I always offset. And offsetting is a very bad way to deal with the problem. But at least I feel that hopefully there are a few more trees planted in this world. There's CO2 absorption. But we have to rethink. The sustainable fuel has come in now. Our airlines are now looking at how they look at biofuels that will be able to be used, which means that there has to be a premium cost of that. So we have to be able to accept that things will cost more if we want to be able to survive longer. So that's that's what we have to do. The last question, Marina, is this. There's actually some, interestingly, I actually am on the Global Future Council for the World Economic Forum on responsible resource use. And we're coming up with a report from the Global Battery Alliance to look at how do you have circularity of batteries itself. And I think that's the way forward, to look at how you recycle the material in batteries. At the moment, the worry with electric vehicles is that the extraction of some of these minerals can have human rights violations and other planetary damage, because it may encroach onto indigenous lands and so forth. But if you look at the energy saving, per se, is actually it's clear, it's clean. So the next step, I think, in this is using this battery circularity approach, making sure that you can actually recycle some of the materials in batteries, so that it has a positive impact. I think UK is making an excuse. Norway has turned into 100% EV.
Merdeka Day, 25th of August, if I'm not mistaken, is our National Women's Day, not the International Women's Day, the Hari Wanita Kebangsaan. But there was also another day in August which is actually important, 1st of August. Does anyone know what 1st of August this year represents? And this particular date changes every year. It changes every year. And I'm asking apart from Tansi, because she knows the answer to this question. So, I mentioned just now the resource that you must watch, which is Breaking Boundaries, the documentary that features David Attenborough and Joachim Rockström, who's a planetary scientist. So please watch that tonight or tomorrow. But the other resource that you must check out, and I love sharing resources because it's all about sharing knowledge, not just about gatekeeping knowledge, is what's known as the Earth Overshoot Day. So you can Google that, Earth Overshoot Day. And that calculates every year. It's a very neat website. It calculates every year the day on that particular year where humanity's demand for ecological resources and services exceeds what the Earth can regenerate for you. That means that's the day in which we've gone too far already. In terms of what we do, the demands that we take out of the Earth, in terms of the carbon emission that we put, in terms of the pollution that we put out there, in terms of the food that we consume, in terms of the waste that we generate. It should be December 31st. That's equilibrium, because that's when the Earth says, okay, I can absorb you for 1 year exactly, or surplus. This year, it was August the 1st. August the 1st, we had already exceeded and overshot our ecological deficit or balance sheet with Mother Earth. Is that right, Tansi?
Yes.
That's right. So, Tansi, with all this pessimism that we've discussed, let's try to conclude the session by saying that the window of opportunity is still open. We have still not reached tipping point yet, and I watched Joachim Rockström's TED Talk. Johan Rockström's. Yes, TED Talk, saying that that we are not yet at tipping point. There is still a small window of opportunity in which we can reverse this existential crisis that we face. Tansi, maybe the last word on how we should feel positive, that there is hope, but there isn't that much time for us to get our acts together.
Yeah. So Johan is a friend, and he always says we have less than 10 years. That's all we have to turn this terrible situation right now and not meet our tipping points, which are very, very close. Now, I think that the first thing I will say is never lose hope, because I am very sure that we have enough knowledge, technology, we have enough, resources for us to do the right thing. What we need to do now is make sure that, the will is there, and the will comes also from people's demands. So do not stop demanding from whoever you can demand from, that you need a better planet. I always ask myself, how am I going to answer my Creator on the day of judgment? That I have this knowledge now that I have passed to you, that we have a planet in trouble and we all need to work together. And I think that is now an amanah that I have passed on to every single person in this room. You know now the situation of the planet, and every one of us has our circles of influence. Exert it. Use your voice, use whatever means you have, because this is not just for us. We are the generation that has destroyed the planet, and yet there are many, many generations to come. And I think we owe it to future generations to do the right thing. So we have the resources, we have the intelligence, we have the technology. We need now to make sure it's all used.
On a wonderful note, please join me in giving a warm round of applause to Dr. Jamila. Once again, thank you very much to Siwa, to Kamona and her committee for organizing this wonderful talk, and all the best in galvanizing this organization and your members, and of course the community of women activists in this country, not just to find solutions for today, but also to get everyone to start thinking about the bigger questions of our planet and of humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. KJ and Professor Tan Sri Dr. Jamila Mahmud. That was a very good session, and we are privileged to be your audience this afternoon. We learned a lot too, right? And I think everyone is so serious listening to them. For your information, we can have this session again maybe in next 3 months. We intend to do it quarterly. But everyone now have ideas to take it further, inshallah. Thank you for all the questions. Once again, we thank your distinguished Fireside Chat panel for your time and very insightful session. May I now invite our President, Puan Mona Jamaluddin, to present a token appreciation to Tan Sri Jamila Mahmud. Kita sebenarnya ada juga nak bagi token pada our Mr. KJ, tetapi he told us that we are NGO, don't waste our money. Thank you, Mr. KJ, for the understanding. Thank you very much.
So I think war is a real emitter, and it's horrible, right? And you're absolutely right. Hypocrisy, lack of solidarity in this world. Let's not just blame the West. Let's also look at the Muslim world as well. So I think we are in such a terrible situation right now, but we cannot be pessimists, because in every crisis there's an opportunity to do better. Right? We all have to come together, work together, and find the solutions together. So I think it's there. We have enough intelligence, equipment, tools, everything to solve the problems of the world today. We have everything we need. It's now a matter of political will. It's a matter of community pressure coming from everyone. And I think people power is the most powerful thing in the world.
We're going to do one last round of questions.